last class we were discussing about the good afternoon everyone. In the last class we were discussing about the concept of fundamental right. We covered article 19 to article 22 that we covered, and we started with article 25. So what is the difference between the no self-incrimination and doctrine of double jeopardy? What difference we are finding between no self-incrimination and doctrine of double jeopardy? What is the difference between no self-incrimination and doctrine of double jeopardy?
So there will be one offense that the person cannot be the offense punished twice.
Yeah. Okay. Doctrine of double jeopardy says that. Okay. For the same crime, person cannot be punished twice. And what is no self-incrimination? That no one can be forced to be made witness in their own case. Okay. That is what doctrine of no self-incrimination is. Clear? What is no ex post facto law? What is no ex post facto law?
Before the immediate any condition process, we will preventing from that particular punishment.
No ex post facto law says a person can be punished only for violation of crime. Okay, that is the violation of law that is existing at that point of time. Okay, so a person can be punished only for violation of law existing at that point of time. You can't make a retrospective law and punish a person. That is what we call as a no ex post facto law. Okay, so a person will be punished only for law, only for the violation of law, and the law should exist at that time. If it is not existing, it will not be punished. Okay, you can't make a retrospective law and punish a person. That is what no ex post facto law. What is Article 21 says? What is Article 21 says? Right to life. What are the important point of right to life? That it is available against both executive action and legislative action. Under which case Supreme Court says? K.K. Gopalan, they said both. It is available against both? No. It is in Maneka Gandhi case. Okay. It is in Maneka Gandhi case. Broad interpretation were done, and it was said that what? That it is available against both arbitrary legislative action also and arbitrary executive actions also. So it is in Maneka Gandhi case. Okay, what is Article 22? Protection in case of detention. What are the detention you have? Punitive detention and preventive detention. What right you have in punitive detention?
Right to be informed.
Right to be informed. Right to be defended by lawyers of your choice. Then right to be presented before magistrate within how many hours? 24 hours. Then to set him free if it is a illegal detention. And what right we have in preventive detention? That maximum detention should be how many? 3 months. Yes. Okay. And if detention has to be going beyond 3 months, then what will happen? Advisory board recommendation is required. Yes. Okay. So preventive and punitive detention. What is Article 23? Right against exploitation. Which type of exploitation is being done? Trafficking in human being and forced labor. Okay, trafficking in human being and forced labor. Which act has been designed for punishing trafficking in human being? Immoral Trafficking Act 1956. Yes. Okay. And who can call for forced labor? Who can call? State can call, but state should not distinguish on which ground? Caste, religion, race and class. Yes. Okay. So religion, race, caste and class. Okay. Those are the 4 things. Fine. Then we discuss Article 24. What does Article 24 states? Yeah, specific to children, that children should not be employed in hazardous industries. Okay. How many children less than 14 years of age should not be employed in hazardous industries. But we discuss currently the Child Labour Act has what provision Child Labour Act has currently?
Both in SRS and non-SRS.
Hazardous till the age of 14. Yes, okay. And from 14 to 18,
Non-
only in non-hazardous they can work. Hazardous they can't work. Okay, fine. So those things we have discussed. Now we'll start with article number 25, which deals with what? Which deals with freedom of religion. Okay. So arbitrary means okay, like your own will. Okay. If I say you go out of the class, okay, what will happen? Arbitrary, no, okay, because you have paid the fees, you have okay, what you have been allowed to sit in the room. I am taking a decision, you don't sit in the room. Okay, this is which decision? Arbitrary decision. That is coming out of your will, not according to the law. Okay, so that is arbitrary. Okay, so if police comes and arrest me, okay, I am not violating a law. Police decision is what? Arbitrary decision. They are coming and arresting me on their own will. Right? So freedom of religion. Okay, what is freedom of religion saying? Conscience, profess, practice and propagate. So we discussed conscience means which type of freedom? Your inner freedom. You have inner freedom, your inner voice is there, and they can decide what? They can decide what faith you want to believe in, what belief you have. Okay, anything, okay, what you want internally. Conscience, okay, deals with the internal one. Okay, what I want to believe internally, that is conscience. Profess means what? Outside. I can openly declare to the people that what religion I belongs or what belief I want to have. Okay, I can openly declare it to the people. Clear? So conscience deals with what? Internal. Profess deals with what? External. You can openly let people know that what religion, what caste, okay, what other things you are wanting to believe in. Okay, so that is a profess. Third is okay, what? Practice. What is practice? You can follow rituals, customs, traditions, worships. All these things related to what? Related to that religion. That is allowed. Practice is something that is okay, allowed. You want to do any fasting, other thing, whatever rituals, customs, tradition, worshipping is, mode of worship is there, you can do that. That is a practice one. And the last is propagate. Propagate means what? You can spread the ideas. You can spread the ideas of religion. So these are okay, what? These are the four things that is okay mentioned, okay, under Article 25, freedom of religion, okay. And as we discussed, Article 25, okay, provides rights to what? Rights to individual. It provides right to individual, one people, individual. Clear? So it gives you freedom of what? Freedom of conscience, freedom to profess, freedom to practice, and freedom to propagate. But it does not give you freedom to what? Convert. Conversion is not allowed. Okay, this is not covered under Article number 25, because okay, if you are converting people forcibly, okay, so if you are converting people forcibly to your religion, it is violating which one? It is violating the conscience. Okay, it is violating the freedom of conscience. Fine. So this is what mentioned in the case of Article 25. So Article 25 gives you what? Gives individual right regarding both religious belief also and religious practices also. You have okay, both things covered. Religious practices also, religious belief also. Both things are something that are covered under Article 25. Fine. Now the question here is okay, whether okay, what? Whether all practices are covered or not. Practice means what? Okay, related to religion, lot of practices are there, no? Lot of rituals are there, lot of traditions are there, customs are there. Okay, whether all are covered or not covered? Not covered. Okay, which is covered? Which do you think is covered? So for the first time, this question was raised that what does practice means? Okay, practice, what it is covering. Okay, when we are saying that this doctrine is okay, or this right is protecting you. Okay, religious practices also. What type of practices are okay protected under nothing but okay Article number 25. Okay, so what you see is okay. What you see is okay. The case went to the Supreme Court and it is called as a Shirur Mutt case. Shirur Mutt case. Okay, this happens in 1954. Okay, and in this case, Supreme Court came out with a doctrine called as the essential religious doctrine. Essential religious doctrine. So in this case, Supreme Court came out with a doctrine, which one? Essential religious doctrine. That only those practices which are essential to the religion, only those practices which are essential to the religion are only protected. Only protected under Article 25. Those, okay, what? Those practices which are not essential to religion is not protected. Not essential to religion is not protected, not covered under this right. Fine. So which type of practices are covered? Those are essential to, okay, the religion. What is essential to the religion means? Without which religion will lose its meaning. Okay, without these practices, religion will lose its meaning. Only those practices are something that are covered. If okay, what if okay anything is there, if any practices is there which is not okay, what not essential to religion, or without which religion will not lose its meaning, that practices are something that are not covered. Okay, so this doctrine came out in case of what? Shirur Math case in 1954, and this is called as the essential religious doctrine that is okay there. Okay? For example, when Ayodhya case was there, you know that Ayodhya dispute, Ayodhya case was there, it was a dispute between whom? Because already a mosque was there, okay, and this mosque was what? Demolished, okay, and dispute was there that okay, here originally temples was there, temples were removed and mosque was created. So this site should be given to nothing but okay, what? Okay, the okay Hindus, because it is the origin of whom? Origin site for nothing but okay, Ram, okay, Lord Ram, okay. So that was the dispute, okay. So in this case, in Ayodhya case, Supreme Court says that mosque is what? Mosque is not essential to Islam. Mosque is not essential to Islam. Okay, that's why okay that is not covered under what? That is not covered under nothing but okay essential religious doctrine, not protected under freedom of religion. Why Supreme Court saying is mosque is not okay the central to Islam or essential to Islam? Why they are saying like that? That mosque is not essential to Islam or okay central to Islam? Tombs, okay, fine. Tombs are different, mosques are different. A mosque is basically where you go and pray, okay, and tombs are where okay people are buried, okay. So like Taj Mahal is a tomb, okay, because Shah Jahan and his body are buried over there, Mumtaz body is buried over there. So that is a tomb. Okay. So what you see is okay, mosque is okay. What mosque is a place where okay you go and worship. Fine. Why it is saying that it is not essential to Islam? Because in Hinduism there is a practice of idol worship. Idol worship means what? Okay, you see a practice of idol worship in case of nothing but okay Hinduism. Okay, so you deity is there, you go and worship that. But in Islam, Islam do not believe in what? Idol worship concept. Okay, they do not have this concept of idol worship that is okay there. Clear? So mosque is just a prayer hall that has been created. This prayer hall can be created anywhere. Okay, this prayer hall, mosque is like a prayer hall because no idols is there, no idol worship is there. Okay, so mosque is okay. Why it is being created? It's like a prayer hall. Okay, that is okay there, where people will assemble and do praying. That is okay there. Clear? So what you see is okay. It is not central because prayer hall can be created anywhere. Okay, that is okay. What? Okay, the Supreme Court view is there. So that's why okay, the mosque is not essential to Islam. It is not covered under what? Essential religious practices. That is okay there. Clear? So this is something that you are finding how the Shirur Math doctrine is being used. Okay. So in Shirur Math case, Supreme Court says that what is essential, what is protected under this one? Only the essential religious practices are protected. That is not essential will not be protected. Sometimes you see, okay, when festivals are there, Eid and etc. are there, you see people assemble in a park and do what? Namaz and etc. Sometimes on the road also you'll see okay they do okay come together and do worship, okay, that is okay there. So it's like a prayer hall. Mosque is like a prayer hall, so they are not central to Islam. That is what okay, without which Islam will not lose its meaning. So that's what okay the Supreme Court said in this particular doctrine. Okay, this is the reason why you see Supreme Court also accepted which case? Sabrimala case. Remember Sabrimala case okay says what? So women of okay what 10 to 50 years were not allowed to enter the temple. That is okay there. So why okay why this was challenged? If it is a right to practice, because it is a practice that is okay being followed in the temples, no? Okay, not allowing the women of 10 to 50 years was a practice that is being followed. But okay, court says that it is not an essential religious practice. If it is an essential religious practice, it would have been covered. If it is not an essential religious practice, and if it is not, it is violating which right? It is violating which right? Right to equality. So it has to be scrapped off. Okay, that is okay there. So this is how the essential religious doctrine is being used in various cases. Okay, by the Supreme Court. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? However, there is a criticism also regarding this particular doctrine. What is the criticism? What is the criticism regarding this doctrine? The main criticism is who is deciding what is essential practice to religion, what is not essential practice to religion. Who is deciding that? Who is deciding that, okay, this entering, let's say, okay, we are taking Sabrimala case, who is deciding that, okay, women of 10 to 50 years is, okay, what? Is, okay, not an, okay, this practice of not allowing women is not an essential religious practice. Who is saying that? Who is deciding that? Huh? Huh? Who is deciding that, okay, that women of 10 to 50 years, this practice of women not entering into Sabrimala temple is not an essential religious practice? Who is deciding that? It is judges, okay, it is judges that are saying that it is not an essential religious practice. Where you are going and filing a case? To the court. So who is deciding? Judges are deciding, no, that it is not an essential religious practice. Okay, judges are saying that Islam is what? The mosque is not central to Islam, that is okay there. Who is deciding whether what is essential and what is not essential? Who is deciding that? Judges are deciding. Because who has come out with this doctrine, essential religious doctrine? It is also came out by the judges only, that is okay there. So who is deciding what is essential and what is not essential? It is a judge that is deciding what is essential, what is not essential. Fine? Any doubt regarding this one? Now judges are trained in what? Judges are trained in what? The judges are trained in law. They have not studied religion, no? What judges have studied? How they have studied, okay? So when you have not studied religion, how can you identify what is okay essential and what is not essential? Okay, clear? So judges are okay, what they are studying? They are trained in law, they are not trained in religion, no? They have not studied religion, that is okay there, clear? So who should decide, okay, what is essential, what is not essential? This is being decided by nothing but, okay, the judges. And judges are not trained in religion, that is okay there. So, okay, judges may say that this is not essential, but that may be essential, that is okay there. Or judges may say that this is essential, but that may not be essential to religion. For that, you need someone who is, okay, expert in religion to determine what is essential and what is not essential, that is okay there. So that's why this doctrine is also being criticized, okay, that judges are, okay, what? Judges are nothing but, okay, overreaching their, okay, domain. And that's why essential religious, okay, doctrine is also being criticized, okay. So currently we are following this doctrine, only the essential religious practices are something that are being covered. But, okay, what you see is, okay, this doctrine has been originated by whom? This has been originated by the judges, and that's why it is also being criticized that, okay, what? It's the judges should not decide what is, okay, essential and what is not essential, that is okay. Clear? In and out regarding this particular point. So what you have to keep in mind is only which type of practices are covered or which type of practices are protected in the Article 25. Only the essential one. The one that is not essential is not protected. Fine? Any doubt? So this is what you have to keep in mind regarding conscience, profess, practice and propagate. Clear? However, this can also be restricted on certain grounds. What are the grounds? Public order, morality, health. On these grounds, this right can be restricted, okay, on the ground of public order, on the ground of morality, on the ground of health, this rights can be restricted also. So again, this is not an absolute right, this can be restricted in certain situations. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So this doctrine is called as what? This doctrine is, okay, this article is called as the right to freedom of religion, okay. So this article is protecting which right? Conscience, profess, practice and propagate. It is given to which one? It is given to the individual. Fine?
So what is public order?
What is public? Public order. Let's say if I go and kill someone, what is happening? I am violating a law, no? Murder, I am committing a murder, I am violating a law. So it is which type of situation? Law and order situation. I am violating the law. Okay, there is an order. Order means what? Stability in the society. I am going and breaking that stability that is over there. So it is which type of issue? Law and order issue. Okay. But let's say, okay, 100 people goes and kill, then what will happen? It becomes a public. Okay, so that is what the term public order. So masses, okay, when masses are something that are involved, many people are involved, that becomes a case of which order public. Right? Okay. Next is okay, what? Next is Article 26. So first you write Article 25, then we'll write. The Article 25. The Article 25 provides for freedom of conscience, comma, profess, practice, and propagate the religion to every citizen as well as non-citizen. To every citizen as well as non-citizen. To every citizen as well as non-citizen. Article 25. Article 25 covers both religious belief and also religious practices. Covers both religious belief and also religious practices. Para change it around. However, the Supreme Court has come out with essential religious practices doctrine. And stated that only essential religious practices are covered under Article 25 and 26 of the Constitution. Only essential practices are covered under Article 25 and 26 of the Constitution. Hence, state can regulate non-essential practices. State can regulate the non-essential practices. Para change again. The essential religious doctrine originated in Shirur Mutt case of 1954. And judiciary took the responsibility of evaluating religious text to decide whether a practice is fundamental to the faith or not. This doctrine has been used in various cases such as triple talaq case of 2017, Sabrimala case of 2018, and Hijab Row case, HIJAB, Hijab Row case of 2022. Of 2022. 2022. So what was the Hijab Row? Few years back, if you saw, okay, in Karnataka there was a news regarding, okay, the students, some students, okay, who were wearing hijab were not allowed to write the 10th examination or 12th examination. School were prohibiting them to write, okay, because they wanted a uniform, okay, code, uniform dress for all the, okay, person, not differentiation. So that was a hijab row case, okay, that was there. So in that case, Supreme Court says that, okay, what hijab is not central to the Islam, okay. So what you see is, okay, this, okay, what this school, okay, what school authority decision to have a uniform dress code is valid, okay. So that is what the decision. So this essential religious doctrine has been used in a lot of cases. Yeah, the government has given this permission, but okay, what we discuss is, okay, that this was challenged on the basis of ground of violation of its right, fundamental right. Okay, if government gives a permission, then it becomes, okay, which right? Legal right, not a fundamental right. No, we discussed fundamental right versus legal right difference. Okay, so that was challenged that, okay, the wearing hijab is a, okay, a fundamental right, but it was not covered under, okay, the essential religious practices. Fine. Can I change it? Right? The argument is to balance. Argument is to balance social freedom with fundamental rights to religion. Social freedom with fundamental rights to religion. Fundamental right to religion. And this allows the judiciary to eradicate regressive practices such as untouchability, triple talaq, etc. Can I change it right now? The conscience means inner freedom of an individual. Conscience means inner freedom of an individual to decide his relation with the God. Inner freedom of an individual to decide his relation with the God. Profess means declaration of one's religious belief. Declaration of one's religious belief and faith. Declaration of one's religious belief and faith openly and freely. The practice means adopting religious worship. Practice means adopting religious worship rituals, ceremonies, exhibitions, etc. associated with religion. And lastly, propagating one's religious belief. To others. And propagating means spreading one's religious belief to others. However, this does not include the right of conversion. However, this does not include the right of conversion. Right of conversion. Right of conversion. Fine. Para change it. However, this right is not an absolute right. However, this right is not an absolute right and can be restricted on the ground of public order, morality or health. Can be restricted on the ground of public order, morality or health. Morality or health. Hence, the state is empowered. Hence, state is empowered to regulate and restrict. State is empowered to regulate or restrict any economic, financial or political, practices associated with religion, and it provides for social reformation, powers to the state. It provides for social reformation powers to the state. Social reformation powers to the state. Fine. So this is what Article 25 is all about. Next, Article 26 is there. Now this gives freedom to religious denomination. This right gives freedom to religious denomination. Fine. Now, just now we discussed Article 25 was what? Article 25 was individual rights. Okay. The Article 26 deals with what? Group right. Okay. So it talks about right of a religious denomination. Okay. It talks about right of a religious denomination. So it is which kind of right? It is a group right, collective right. Okay. So that difference is there between Article 25 and 26. Clear? It says that the religious denomination, this type of religious denomination are are having freedom to establish any institution. They have the freedom to establish whom? They have freedom to establish the institution for which purposes? Either for religious purposes or for charitable purposes. Okay? So it says that religious denomination has a freedom to establish what? Freedom to establish institution for which purposes? Religious purposes or charitable purposes. Clear? They have freedom to manage. They have freedom to manage affairs of these institutions. So whatever affairs of institution, religious institution, because you are creating which type of institution? Religious institution. So you can manage the affairs of nothing but these religious institutions. That freedom you have. Third thing, they have freedom to acquire what? Freedom to acquire movable and immovable property. You have freedom to acquire movable and immovable property. This freedom is something that is also there. And the last thing that you have is what? The last thing that you have is freedom to manage these properties. Manage these property as per law. As per law. So all these are what? All these four rights have been given to whom? Given to nothing but religious denomination. Fine. So Article 26 provides freedom to whom? Freedom to religious denomination, and says that religious denomination has a freedom to establish any institution for which purposes? Either religious purposes or charitable purposes. They can manage the affairs of the institution. What is affairs of the institution? How finances will be managed, who will be appointed, who will head the organization. All these affairs of the institution, they can do it. freedom to acquire movable and immovable property. Okay, so they can buy a land, construct a building for, okay, because if you are creating an institution, this institution means, okay, you have to create an organization. Where you place this organization? Any buildings you have to create, any house, okay, you have to create, okay. So what will happen? You can acquire the immovable property also. You can buy a, okay, you can buy a vehicles or any other movable property and etc. In the name of whom? In the name of nothing but, okay, these religious denominations. So you can acquire either movable property also or immovable property also. And lastly, freedom to manage property as per what? As per law. Okay, so these are, okay, what? These are the freedom that has been granted under what? Under Article 26. Fine. Now, the question here is, what is a religious denomination? The first term itself is because it is providing freedom to religious denomination. So what is a religious denomination? Again, this term is not defined in Constitution. Constitution has not defined this particular term, religious denomination, only mentions the term religious denomination. Clear? So for this, Supreme Court has, okay, what? Supreme Court has come out with the concept of triple test. Three tests, okay, has to be seen in order to what? In order to state whether this is a religious denomination or not a religious denomination. You have to go through triple test. What is this triple test? Okay, the first, okay, first thing, okay, that says is what? That it should be, okay, what? It should be an organization. It should be an organization, or we say common organization for many people. Okay, there need to be a common organization. Second thing, it should involve a group of people who believe, okay, group of people who believe in, okay, what? Who believe in the ideas. Okay, who believe in the ideas. Okay, so it should have, okay, what? It should have its own unique philosophy. This organization should have its own unique philosophy. Fine. So first thing, it should have a common organization for many people. Second thing, what will happen? It should have, okay, what? It should involve some group of people who believe in common ideas and this unique philosophy, that is okay there. And the third test, okay, that is okay saying is what? The third test that is okay saying is, it should have a distinctive name. It should have a distinctive name. If anything passes these three tests, then it is going to be called as what? Religious denomination. If it is not passing these three tests, it will not be a religious denomination. For example, yeah, we are coming to that distinctively. For example, okay, there was a question raised that whether Ramakrishna Mission, okay, is a distinctive one or not a distinctive one. Okay, so whether it comes under religious denomination concept or not comes under religious denomination concept. This was, okay, what? This was nothing but, okay, question that was raised. Okay, so what you see is, okay, as we discussed, this has a distinctive name. Okay, a mission has a distinctive name, that is okay there. Second thing, what will happen is, okay, what? Group of people need to believe in ideas as well as something but, okay, what? Common philosophy. So Ramakrishna Mission believes in which philosophy? They believe in Advaita philosophies. Okay, they believe in which philosophy? Advaita philosophy. What is Advaita? In history you have studied Advaita. What is concept of Advaita philosophy? History you didn't read. Fine. Advaita says, okay, what? Advaita says that your soul and the okay, what? We call soul as what? Atma. And okay, the universal God or universal soul, we call it as what? Paramatma. Okay, both are, okay, what? Both are inseparable. Both are inseparable. That is a philosophy of whom? That is a philosophy of Advaita. Okay, so what Advaita says that, okay, what? Individual soul is inseparable from what? Okay, universal soul. We also call it as a Brahma or Brahmana. Okay, that is also used, okay, the term. Okay, so what you see is, okay, the individual soul is inseparable from what? Inseparable from the, okay, the universal soul or Paramatma or Brahma, that is okay there. Clear? This philosophy is called as what? Advaita. Advaita means cannot be separated. Okay, so that is what Advaita. Advaita means mixed together, cannot be separated. That is what Advaita is all about. So the Ramakrishna Mission believes that, okay, what? If you want to pray God, worship God, okay, or believe in God, okay, you need to serve whom? You need to serve, okay, whom? You need to serve other people. Minimize suffering of which people? Other people. Why? Why? Because in other people also, your soul is also linked to God. My soul is also linked to God. Your soul is also linked to God. If everyone is linked to God, if you want to worship God, okay, minimize suffering of other people. If he is happy, what will happen? Universal soul will be happy, that is okay there. This is a common philosophy, that is okay, what Ramakrishna missionaries believe in. So it is a concept of Advaita. So it has a unique philosophy also, which okay, everyone is something that is okay, believing in. And okay, what you see is okay, the organ, okay, it is a common organization for many people. Yes, many people come together and believe in these ideas. So that's why Ramakrishna mission is what? Is a religious denomination as per nothing but okay, what? As per nothing but okay, Article 26. So Supreme Court came out with these three triple tests. If anyone is meeting these three triple tests, okay, then what will happen? It will be a religious denomination. If they are not meeting these triple tests, then they are okay, what? They are not a religious denomination, right? So who has particular rights? Only the religious denomination has these rights, and we discuss religious denomination involves okay, who? It involves nothing but okay, group of people. Group of people means it is going to be which right? Group right or collective right, that is okay there. Clear? So this is what Article 26 is talking about. Again, this article can be restricted. On which ground it can be restricted? On which ground it can be restricted? Same ground. What we have discussed: public order, morality, and health. Yes. Okay. Again, the same ground. This right can be restricted. So this is what mentioned in what? This is what mentioned in Article 26 of the Constitution. Clear? Any doubt? Next comes okay, what?
Sir, the freedom of corporate movable and immovable property. There is no restriction under the law.
You have to manage this property as per what? Law. Okay. So what is acting as a restriction? Law. If law says okay, that okay, what? If law says that government can occupy this property, then what will happen? You have to give this property to whom? To the women, to the government. Okay, that is okay there. Clear? So it has to be managed as per what? As per what the law says. Okay, so that has to be. Next is okay, what? Next is Article 27. It gives you freedom from taxation. And Article 28 gives you freedom from religious instructions. Okay, so Article 27 okay deals with freedom from what? Freedom from taxation for promotion of whom? Promotion of okay religion. And second, Article 28 talks about freedom from religious instructions. Okay, these two are covered under Article 27 and Article 28. Fine. Now the question is, what is difference between a tax and a fee? Can you differentiate what is a tax and what a fee? What difference you are finding between tax and a fee?
Collecting more purchase, we have to be paid under tax. Some of the conditions of the authority have to be paid as a tax. Fee what we been collecting from other sources.
Fee what you are collecting from other sources, and tax is what you are paying to government. Okay. Can government levy a fee? You go to the government school, no? Government school charge certain fee.
Yes.
Okay, so government can also levy fee. How do you differentiate a tax and a fee?
Tax for income.
Tax for?
Income.
Okay. All tax you pay on income. You buy goods, you pay GST. Not a necessary tax has to be levied on income only. You buy goods, no? On goods you pay the GST. What is the tax then? The major difference is okay. The tax is okay. What? The tax is something that is okay. What? That is okay. Mandatory. While the fee is something that is okay. What? Voluntary. Okay. Fee is levied when you are using a service. Fee is levied when you are using a service, okay? And tax is, okay, what? Tax is levied by the government for various purposes, like we discussed on income, on goods, on services, on anything, okay, government can levy tax, okay, that is okay there, clear? So difference, okay, that lies is tax is what? Tax is nothing but, okay, mandatory, while, okay, fee is what? Fee is nothing but, okay, voluntary. Fee is, okay, what? Fee is being levied when you are using what? Using any service, okay? For example, you are coming to this institution, you are paying a fee. Okay, why you are coming to, you are paying a fee, you are utilizing the services of this institution, so you are being charged, you are being, okay, you are paying a fee. If you decide not to come to this, then what will happen? No fee will be paid, no? If you decide not to come to this institution, no fee will be provided, okay? So what, when you are using the service, you have to pay a fee, okay? Fine. When you are using railways, you are paying, okay, what? The ticket price, you are paying a fee, okay, that is okay there for using the railways, okay. So fee is levied when you are using a service. If you don't want to travel with the railways, you don't have to pay, okay. But tax is not something that is a mandatory. If government levies a tax, you have to pay the tax, okay, that is okay there, clear. So this article protects you from what? Taxation, okay, not from what? Not from the fee, okay. So why we are discussing tax versus fee? Because this article is protecting you from what? Protecting you from taxation, not from nothing but, okay, fee, okay. Government cannot levy a tax for promotion of any religion. Government can't levy a tax. No state can't levy a tax. Can't levy a tax for promotion of religion. For promotion of religion, but state can levy a fee. Remember that. State can levy a fee, but state will not levy what? Not levy a tax for promotion of whom? Promotion of religion. Remember, we discussed, okay, India is which type of state? India is a secular, okay? Remember, sovereign, socialist, secular we have discussed. Secular means what? Government do not have any religion. State do not have any religion. State, remember, we discussed Indian secularism. Government can interfere in religion, but government cannot discriminate in what? Discriminate between religion, that is okay there. So, government, okay, or state can levy, okay, what? Levy a tax. State can levy a tax, like you see income tax you are paying, corporate tax you are paying, GST you are paying. State can levy a tax, but the state can't use this money for promotion of whom? For promotion of a particular religion, because, okay, Indian state cannot discriminate between whom? Cannot discriminate between a religion, that is Indian form of secularism. So state should not use tax money for whom? For the promotion of any religion, that is okay there. Clear? Any doubt? But state can levy which thing? It can levy a fee. Okay. For example, okay, when you see Char Dham Yatras or Amarnath, okay, Yatras, okay, the government collects the fee for nothing but, okay, what? Pilgrimage to travel to those particular places. Okay. So if you are, okay, using the service, you have to pay nothing but, okay, fee for that. Okay. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? So this is, okay, what? This is nothing but, okay, concept of what? Concept of nothing but, okay, fee. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? Yes. Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. So clear the difference between tax and fee. So you are protected from what? Taxation, but you are not protected from what? Fee. Government can levy the fee, okay, because fee is what? Voluntarily. If you want to use a service, you have to pay a fee. If you don't want to use it, you don't pay a fee. Okay, that is okay. Clear? Any doubt? Next is what? Okay, Article 28. It, okay, protects from religious instructions. Fine. So there are four type of, okay, what? Four type of institutions that are mentioned. Okay, it is providing freedom from religious instruction in the institutions. Okay, so four type of institutions are covered under nothing but, okay, Article 28. Fine. First is, okay, institution that are recognized and owned by state. That are recognized and owned by the state fully. Okay, so everything is what? Everything is done by the government. Okay, institution is being recognized by the government, owned by the government, managed by the government. Everything is, okay, done by the government. That type of one institution is there. Second thing is institution that are recognized by government, but created under an endowment or trust. And the third type of institution that you have is institution receiving aid from the state, aid from state. And the fourth type of institution that you have is institution recognized by the state. These are okay, what? These are nothing but okay, four type of institution that is okay mentioned. Clear? For example, government school. Let's say government school. Government schools are what? They are okay, recognized and owned by whom? Government. Okay, they are managed by whom? Only owned by whom? Government. That is okay there. In such type of institutions, no religious instructions can be provided. No religious instruction cannot be provided. Okay, you can't provide okay religious instructions in which type of schools? Government schools. Okay, that is okay there. Or government institutions, government colleges, government universities. No religious instruction should be nothing but okay provided. So that is okay. What? That is okay because as we discussed, state do not have any religion. Government do not have any religion. So government should not provide any okay religious instruction in such type of institutions. Fine. Second thing, in these two scenarios, the religious instruction is voluntary. You can provide, but it is not forced, not mandatory for every student to attend. It is okay, voluntary for the student. They want to attend, they can attend. They don't want to attend, they can't attend. That is okay there. And okay, if it is, let's say, you are providing in schools, okay, you require a consent of whom? Consent of parent or guardian, okay, for providing religious instruction, because as we discussed, you are not 18. When you are not 18, you can't take your own decision. As a result, who should be consulted? Parent or guardian should be consulted. That is okay. Clear? So in third and fourth type of institutions, okay, what you see is okay, religious instructions are voluntarily in nature. Okay, it is voluntarily in nature. Religious instruction can be provided, but it is voluntarily. You have to take consent of whom? You have to take consent of nothing but okay people. Okay, it is voluntarily in nature. Fine. Any doubt regarding this one? Now, it is second type of institution where religious instruction can be provided. In these type of institution, it is allowed. Religious instructions are something that are allowed. Okay, clear? For example, what is institution receiving aid from the state? Aid from the state means what? Any institution receiving certain money, certain support from the government side. That is okay. What? That can't provide religious instructions. Okay, on a mandatory basis, okay, they can provide, but on voluntarily basis only. That is okay. Clear? Institution recognized by the state. You know that there are state boards, CBSE boards. Okay, they recognize various colleges. No, government colleges also, for private schools also. Okay, so what you see is okay. These are okay recognized by. These are recognized by the state. So in such institutions also you will find what? You will find nothing but okay voluntarily. Okay, what? Voluntarily religious instructions can be provided. But it is in the second one, institutions that are recognized by the government but created under any endowment or trust. Here, okay, what will happen? It is something that is okay allowed. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So government institutions are there, no religious instruction. If okay, these type of institutions are there, religious instructions can be provided, but okay, on a voluntary basis. In these type of institution, religious instruction is allowed. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So this is what.
Institution, whatever the institution are received the aid from the state government, they are not supposed to not give any religious instructions.
They are not supposed to.
Not given religious instructions.
No, they give instructions. No, we are saying third and fourth can give religious instruction. If they are receiving any support from the government also, they can give. Government is not owning them. They are owned by whom? Some other person. Only the government is providing certain supports. Okay, so if government is providing certain support, they can provide religious instruction. That is okay. Yeah. For example, when you read rights, Article 29 and 30, government can provide supports even to minority institutions also.
Then state, previously state is not involved in religious aspect.
No, we discussed Indian secularism allows what? Indian secularism allows the government to interfere in what? Government to interfere in religion. We discuss Indian secularism, what it says, that government can interfere in religion, but government cannot discriminate between religion. This is what we have discussed.
It does not have any
religion. Government do not have any religion, but government can interfere in what? Any religion. Okay, that's why we discussed okay, which bill is brought. Triple Talaq abolition bill we have brought. We have brought other type of bills, Sati Pratha abolition bill, other bills, that is there. Why? Because state is interfering in religion, but state do not have its own religion. I can interfere in religion, but I myself do not have any religion, that is there. Clear? So that is what Indian secularism says. So Indian secularism can interfere in religion, can provide aid, support to minority institutions also, other institutions also, that is there. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So such institutions can provide what? Can provide religious instruction, but not on mandatory basis. They have to provide it on a voluntarily basis only. Fine? Any doubt regarding this one? So these are what? These are Article 26, 27 and 28 that you have to keep in mind. Yeah? So first we write down regarding Article 26. It deals with freedom of religious denomination, to manage their own religious affairs. Freedom of religious denomination to manage their own religious affairs. According to Article 26, every religious denomination have the following rights. Point number 1, the right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes. Right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes. Point number 2, right to manage its own affairs in the matter of religion. Point number 3, right to own and acquire any movable or immovable property. Lastly, the right to administer such property as per law. Para change and writing. Hence Article 25 provides the individual the right to religion, while Article 26 provides a group the right to manage its own religious affairs. However, they can also be restricted on three grounds. Of public order, morality and health. They can also be restricted on three grounds: for public order, morality and health. Para change and write down. Para change it. The Supreme Court has come out with a triple test. Supreme Court has come out with a triple test to identify a religious denomination. To identify a religious denomination as Constitution has not defined the term religious denomination. Constitution has not defined the term religious denomination. Constitution has not defined the term religious denomination. It includes following three conditions. Point number one. It should be a collection of individuals. It should be a collection of individuals who have a common belief. For spiritual well-being. Number two, it should have a common organization. It should have a common organization. Number three, it should be designated by a distinctive name. Distinctive name. Clear? So these three conditions are determining what? These three conditions are determining the religious denomination. Next we write on Article 27. Article 27. It provides freedom from taxation. It provides freedom from taxation for promotion of a religion. Freedom from taxation for promotion of a religion. States that no person shall be compelled. No person shall be compelled to pay any taxes. For the promotion or maintenance of a particular religion. Thus it prohibits the state from levying, levying, prohibit the state from levying the tax for promotion of a religion. Levying the tax for promotion of religion. Para change it right now. However, the state is permitted to levy any fee to provide any special service or safety measures safety basis. Para change it right now. I will change it. Next, you write down regarding Article 28. Article 28. It provides freedom from attending religious instructions. It provides freedom from attending, attending any religious instructions. Any religious instructions. Para change it right now. The Article 28 distinguishes 4 types of educational institutions. Article 28 distinguishes 4 types of educational institution. 4 types of educational institution. Point number one, the institution that are wholly maintained by the state. Institution that are wholly, WHOLLY, wholly maintained by the state. Point number two, the institution that are administered by the state. The institution that are administered by the state. But established under any endowment or trust. Point number 3, institutions recognized by the state. And point number 4, institution receiving aid from the state. From the state. I'll change it right now. No religious instruction shall be provided in educational institution wholly maintained by the state. Educational institution wholly, WHOLLY, wholly maintained by the state. While religious instructions can be provided on a voluntary basis in institution recognized by the state. Or receiving aid from the state. Receiving aid from the state. Next point. The institution that are created under any endowment or trust. Can provide religious education. And instructions. And they are permitted by the constitutions. Fine. So these are okay. These are the 2 things you are finding in Article 27 and 28. Yeah.
So the minority institutions in this madrasa education all will come under which of these?
They are coming to minority institutions. next right you have is a cultural and educational rights. Fine. So we discussed, okay, 6 fundamental rights. One was right to education, Article 14 to 18. Right to freedom, we discussed Article 19 to 22. Third, we discussed right against exploitation, 23, 24. Then we discussed right to religion, okay, 25 to 28. Now fifth right we are coming, okay, which is okay, which right? Cultural and educational right, okay. So this is okay, going to be fifth right, cultural and educational right. And two articles, Article 29 and Article 30 deals with cultural and educational right, okay. So Article 29 and Article 30 deals with the cultural and educational rights. So Article 29 says that any section of citizens the citizens shall have the right to conserve, practice, conserve scripts, language, okay. So any section of the citizens, okay, shall have the right to conserve any script, any languages, okay, any culture that you are practicing. You have the right to conserve those. Okay? So you have the right to practice also, you have the right to conserve the same also. That right is okay, granted. And second part that it says that no person shall be denied. No person shall be denied admissions into educational institution. Admission into educational institution on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, okay, on the ground of religion, race, caste and sex. If the institution is wholly owned by who? Wholly owned by state, or it is receiving aid from who? Receiving aid from the state. So any educational institutions, okay, if it is okay owned by the state or if it is receiving aid from the state, they should not deny any any student the admission on the ground of whom? On the ground of religion, race, caste or sex, okay, that is okay, clear? So you can't discriminate that only male student will be admitted, not female, or female will be admitted, not male. Okay, race, caste, religion, you can't discriminate on those particular grounds. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So what you see is okay, these are okay, giving the two right. Cultural right, that you have the right to okay practice your culture, language, scripts, okay, and you have the right to conserve the same, and it also gives you nothing but okay educational right, that okay no one shall be denied admission. So that's why these rights are called as what? These rights are called as a cultural and educational right, because one part deals with the culture, other part deals with nothing but okay education. Fine, any doubt? Now the term that here mentioned is any section of citizen. Now the Supreme Court has interpreted this term that section of citizens means it applies to both majority also and minority also. So Article 29 applies to both types. It also applies to nothing but okay majority also, it also applies to nothing but okay minority. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? So majority also have its own rights to conserve the language, culture, okay, other thing. Minority also have the rights to conserve its own culture, language, script and etc. And okay, what you see is okay, no one can be denied admission on these grounds, because religion, race, caste, sex, okay, on these grounds you can't be denied admission. This is what mentioned in the which article? This is what mentioned in the Article 29. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? While Article 30, okay, applies only to the minorities. It applies only to the minority, not to the majority. Okay. So Article 29 applies to both majority and minority, because the term section of citizen is mentioned. But okay, Article 30 specifically talks about minority and talks about two types of minority. One is religious minority, another is linguistic minority. So it specifically talks about nothing but okay minority. Okay, so these rights, okay, that's why Supreme Court has interpreted Article 29. Originally these thought, okay, it was thought that both Article 29 and 30 is applicable to minorities, but okay, Supreme Court clarified that okay, Article 29 is also applicable to majority because the term section of citizen is mentioned, and section of citizen include both majority and minority over there. But Article 30 exclusively applies to whom? Applies to the minority. Which type of minority? Religious minorities and linguistic minorities. Okay, means Constitution recognize two type of minorities. Okay, which two type of minorities? Religious minorities and linguistic minorities. What are the other kind of minority? What are the other kind of minority that can be there? So we discussed Constitution is recognizing two type of minority. What other type of minorities can be there? Yeah. Okay, you can have ethnic minority. You can have what? Racial minority. Okay, Dravidian racial. Okay, Mongolian racial. Okay. So what you see is, okay, you can have a racial minorities also. Ethnic minorities are there. You can have caste minorities. Okay. What you see is, okay, different type of minorities can be there. Okay. But Constitution recognizes which two type of minorities? Okay. Religious minorities as well as linguistic minorities. So this article applies only to two type of minorities. One is religious, another is linguistic minorities. Clear? So this provides the minorities to what? Establish and administer educational institutions. Educational institutions for, okay, conservation of what? Conservation of their cultures and etc. Okay. So this, okay, what? This particular, okay, rights, okay, Article 30 provides right to the minorities to establish and administer educational institution for what? Educational institution for preserving the culture, customs and etc. That right is something that is, okay, being granted to, that right is something that is, okay, being granted to minorities. Okay. So we have to keep in mind two type of minorities. Okay, what two type of minorities we have discussed? Religious minorities and linguistic minorities, and these minorities can establish educational institution to preserve their culture, custom, traditions. Okay, that is okay there. Clear? Any doubt? Another thing it says, whenever state is providing any aid, like we discussed, okay, aid provided by the state, support, okay, whenever aids, okay, the state is providing a aid, okay, state shall not discriminate aid on the basis that it is a minority institutions. Okay, so it's a state shall not, okay, discriminate, okay, that it is a minority institution, so I should not give aid to this institution, I should give aid to the other institution. State cannot discriminate that. Okay, so state has to provide aid to whom? Not only majority institution, it can provide aid even to whom? Even to the minority institutions also. That is okay there. Clear? So state is permitted to provide aid to both majority institutions also and minority institutions also. Fine? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? State cannot say that I can't provide a, okay, aid to the minority institutions. Okay, they can't say that, because it is essential to, okay, what? Essential to nothing but, okay, help, okay, the minorities to conserve their what? Conserve their cultures and etc. So why this right has not been given to the majority? Why only it applies to the minority? Why constitution makers has not given this right to majority? Why they have given only to the minorities? For what purpose this right is being given? To preserve what? Why you are establishing educational institution? To preserve your language, culture, scripts. Okay, that is okay there. Okay? If you are already in majority, will your language will be in danger? Will your culture will be in danger if you are already in, okay, majority? No. Okay, because you are more in numbers. Okay, which form will what? Which form will face a threat of extinction? Which culture will face a threat of extinction? Minorities will face a threat of extinction. That is okay there. If you are majority, then there is no, okay, threat. So majority doesn't need a protection for conservation, because there are many people who are practicing the same thing, same language they are speaking, same culture they are practicing. who are facing a threat, minority is facing a threat. So that's why specifically minority have been given this particular right. And okay, what will happen is state need to support, okay, in preservation of these cultures and etc. That's why state cannot deny a aid to the minority institutions. Okay, so that is why okay these rights have been okay given. Okay, and these are which right? These are nothing but okay cultural and educational rights. Okay, so write down regarding cultural and educational rights. Cultural and educational rights. First we write down Article 29. It deals with protection. It deals with the protection of interest of minorities. It deals with the protection of interest of minorities. Protection of interest of minorities, and it provides that any section of citizen residing in any part of India having a distinct language, script or culture, of its own, shall have the right to conserve the same. Para change and write down. The Supreme Court interpreted that this right applies to both majority and minority as the term section of citizens is mentioned. Hence, along with religious and linguistic minorities, these rights can also be enjoyed. Religious and linguistic minorities, these rights can also be enjoyed by the majority. Para change it right. Also, no citizens will be denied admission into any educational institution maintained by the state, or receiving aid from the state, on the ground of religion, race, caste or language. Religion, race, caste or language. Next we read on Article 30. It grants following rights. To the minorities to minorities, whether religious or linguistic. Whether religious or linguistic. Point number one. Point number one. All minorities shall have the right. All minorities shall have the right to establish and administer educational institution of their choice. To establish and administer educational institution of their choice. And point number two. In granting aid, the state shall not discriminate. In granting aid, the state shall not discriminate against any educational institutions managed by the minorities. Against any educational institution managed by the minorities. Against any educational institution managed by the minorities. Para change it right now. Hence, Constitution recognize two type of minorities. That is religious and linguistic. And this right only applies to minorities. This right only applies to minorities and not to majority. This right only applies to minorities and not to majority. This right only applies to minorities and not to majority. Minorities have the right. Minorities have the right to administer. Minorities have the right to impart education to the children. In their own language. Okay, clear? So this is all about Article 29 and Article 50. Clear? So the last right we have is what? Right to constitutional remedies. Have a break and then we'll start with right to constitutional remedies. So next article that you have is a right to property. We discussed original constitution is given as 7 right, but currently we have what 6 right. The right to property has been deleted by 44th amendment. Clear? But there are 3 articles, okay, that are okay currently existing under Article 31. That is 31A, 31B, and 31C. 31A and 31B were added by first constitutional amendment, while 37, 31C were added by nothing but okay 25th constitutional amendment. Clear? So what you have to keep in mind is Article 31 provides a person fundamental rights to property. But before independence in 1947, we have zamindari system prevailing in what? In India. So we have this type of system, zamindari system during Britishers period. Okay. So before 1947, during Britishers period, which type of system we have? Zamindari system we have. What was zamindari system? So in zamindari system, the land owner is zamindar. Zamindar is recognized as the owner of the land. So land belongs to whom? Land belongs to the zamindar. Okay, and zamindar has to pay a fixed tax to whom? A fixed tax to the British from this land. Okay, so this system was introduced, and this system used to be called as a permanent settlement system. In history, you will study about this particular system called as a permanent settlement system. Okay, so zamindar used to be what? Zamindar used to be recognized as the owner of the land, and zamindar has to pay a fixed tax to whom? Fixed tax to the British. Clear? Now, zamindar, okay, used to give this land to the several peasants. Okay, so zamindar used to allocate these lands to nothing but okay, what? Peasant for cultivation. Let's say this is peasant 1, peasant 2, peasant 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he has given land to different peasant for nothing but okay, cultivation. But okay, post independence, what we wanted to do is what? We wanted to okay, bring land under the cultivation of whom? Land under the cultivation of people. And secondly, we wanted to minimize land related inequality. Land related inequality because people were under huge poverty. When India became independent, you saw huge poverty were something that were prevailing in case of India. So how you can minimize, how you can lift people out of the poverty? If you can provide certain assets to the people. What is an assets? Land is what? An assets, okay, land values grows up, okay, over a period of time. So land is what? And assets for the people. So what you wanted to do is what? You wanted to provide land to the people. As a land, you wanted to provide it to the people. Okay, so land was what? Land was a kind of asset to the people. So if you provide asset to the people, people can start working on those land. When they start working on those land, what will happen? What will happen? They will have more income. If they have more income, what will happen? They can come out of nothing but okay, poverty. Fine. So in the Britishers period, when peasant used to be employed, zamindar used to collect tax from where? Zamindar used to collect tax from nothing but okay, peasant, and okay, from this tax, okay, zamindar gives out okay, a certain money to whom? To the British. Okay, fine. But zamindar used to give how much tax? A fixed tax. Okay, he used to give fixed tax. Let's say, okay, fixed tax is 100 rupees. Okay, assume that it is 100 rupees. Okay, that okay, zamindar has to pay to the British. Fine. If zamindar collect okay 150 rupees from the peasant, out of 150 he has to pay how much tax to the okay what? How much tax to the British? 100. This 50 rupees is with whom? With the zamindar. Okay, that is okay there. But if zamindar collect 200 rupees, then what will happen? What will happen? Again 100 rupees. Now in this case, zamindar will have what? 100 rupees. If zamindar collects further more, then what will happen? Again a fixed sum will go to the British. Okay, what will happen? More money with the zamindar. Okay, so what you see is okay. That's why zamindari system was an exploitative system. In order to have more money, zamindar used to collect nothing but okay more tax from who? From the peasant. That is okay there. That's why people were under what? People were under the poverty. So post independence, government wanted to abolish which system? Zamindari system. So that's why they passed Zamindari Abolition Act. So the government of India passed which act? Government of India passed Zamindari Abolition Act. Okay, so with the Zamindari abolition, zamindar will no longer be what? Zamindar will no longer be the owners of the land. That is okay there. Along with that, government also passed another act called as the Land Ceiling Act. What is the Land Ceiling Act? that maximum land, okay, that a person can hold, okay, is called as what? Is a ceiling limit, okay. The maximum land a person can hold is called as a ceiling limit. Let's say zamindar has 150 acre under his, okay, name. The government under land ceiling act says that any individual can, okay, hold only 30 acres, not more than 30 acres. Then what will happen to 120 acres now? What will happen to 120 acres? Because zamindar is holding 150 acres, okay. Government says how much, okay, maximum you can own 30 acres. So how much, okay, extra land will go to whom? To the government, okay. This 120 acres goes to the government, and now the government can distribute this land into whom? Into the peasant, that is okay there. So the Zamindari Abolition Act and Land Ceiling Act were created to, okay, what, to minimize the exploitation and to, okay, what, to lift people out of the poverty, that is okay there. Clear? But when this act were passed, Zamindar went to what? Zamindar went to the court. Why he went to the court? Saying that what is being violated? Their fundamental rights to property is being violated. Okay, so as we discussed, right to property earlier was which type of right? Fundamental right. It has been deleted in which year? In 1978. It has been deleted in 1978. So from 1947 to 1978, it was a fundamental right. Okay. So Zamindar moved to the court saying that, okay, what? Okay, their fundamental rights are something that are being violated. Okay, so government can't take away their property, government can't take their property because they have fundamental rights to the property. Constitution is guaranteeing that. Okay, so this issue was, okay, arising. This issue was arising. That's why government, okay, came up with the amendment. It is, okay, which amendment? First constitutional amendment, and that's why these two provisions were added, which is called as the 31A and 31B. Okay, so 31A and 31B were added into nothing but, okay, what? Into the constitution. By which amendment? By the first constitutional amendment, and this amendment was done in 1951. First constitutional amendment was done in 1951. Fine. So as per this amendment, Article 31A talks about 5 cases. In 5 cases, government can take over what? Government can take over property. Okay, it mentions 5 cases in which government can take up nothing but, okay, property. Like, okay, amalgamation of property, if government is merging this property, or, okay, if it is, okay, related with what? If it is related with buying the shares of the company and etc. Let's say any private company is there, government can buy the shares and take control over those companies. So what you see is, okay, 5 cases were mentioned in which government can take over nothing but, okay, property, that is okay there. And Article 31B added, okay, 9th schedule to the constitution. It added which schedule to the constitution? 9th schedule. Remember schedule we have discussed all 12 schedules. So 9th schedule were added into the constitution, and it was said that any law in 9th schedule, if it is put under the 9th schedule, will not be open to whom? Judicial review. Yes. Okay. So any law which is put under 9th schedule will not be open to judicial review. So government put Zamindari Abolition Act under which one? Under 9th schedule, so that what will happen? This is not challenged in the case of court of law, and Zamindar can't move to the court demanding what? They have fundamental rights to property, that is okay there. Clear? So that is the purpose why 9th schedule is something that has been created. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? So Article 31A says what? Article 31A says that 5 cases in which government can take over the property, that is okay there. And Article 31B added which schedule? 9th schedule, and it says that, okay, what? It says that any law which is put under the 9th schedule will not be challenged in a judiciary, will not be open to judicial review, that is okay there. Clear? Now, another, okay, amendment was done in this, okay, article, which was 25th constitutional amendment, which was added by 31C. Now this was done in 1979. Now again, what had happened is, okay, what, in 1969 we have gone for what? We have gone for nationalization of whom? Banks. Yes, okay, banks were nationalized. 14 banks were nationalized. Government took over, okay, what? Government took over 14 banks. Okay, these banks were privatized bank. Government took over nothing but, okay, these 14 banks, that is okay there. Clear? And when government took over these 14 banks, what had happened? People again went to where? To the court. Why they went to the court? Saying their fundamental rights is being violated. What is the fundamental rights? What is the fundamental right that is being violated? What is the fundamental rights being violated if government is taking over the banks, nationalizing the banks? What are the 6 rights under Article 19? What are the 6 rights under Article 19? Freedom of union, to form union, association, cooperative society, freedom of speech and expression, freedom to what? Freedom to move anywhere, freedom to what? Reside and settle anywhere, and freedom to practice any profession, business. Okay, now you have freedom to practice business, but government is taking over what? Your business. Okay, because government is nationalizing. You were what business you were doing? Banking business you were doing. Okay, who took over this banking business? Government took over. So what is happening? Your fundamental rights is being violated. So when the fundamental rights are being violated, where you'll go? You'll go to the court. So again, what people went to the court, and that's why the government came out with what? Government came out with which amendment? 25th constitutional amendment, that is okay there, and it says that if government does anything to implement DPSP principle of 39B and 39C. If the government is taking any act, if government is doing any act, to implement which two principle? DPSP principle, Article 39B and Article 39C, then even if this act or this law violates Article 19 or Article 21, you shall not move to what? You shall not move to the court. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So this is what amendment is saying. Amendments, government passes any law, any act, which in order to implement which one? In order to implement the DPSP principle of Article 39. Then even if this law violates Article 14, 19 and 21, you cannot move to what? You cannot move to the court. So what is Article 39B? What is Article 39B? 39C. So if you read Article 39B and 39C, now if you read these two provisions, what it is saying that 39B is talking about what? Equitable distribution of resources, and 39C is talking about what? Prevention of concentration of wealth. So these two, these two provisions are there. 39B talking about equitable distribution of resources, and 39C is talking about prevention of concentration of wealth. So when banking business were done by what? When the banking business were done by one individual, it was leading to concentration of who? It was leading to concentration of wealth. So that's why now the government is trying to minimize concentration of wealth as per DPSP principle. So that's why the government is taking over what? Government is taking over the bank, nationalizing the bank and trying to nothing but redistribute the profit amongst all people. That is there. Clear? So that's why even if it violate Article 19, you cannot move to the court saying that your rights has been violated. So this is what amendment that was done in 31C. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So if the government make any law to implement what? To implement DPSP principle of 39B and 39C, and this law violates your fundamental rights mentioned in these articles, then also the law will be valid and you cannot move to the court. This is what Article 31C is talking about. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So these are these are the three amendments that has been done under Article 31, and these are still existing. These are still existing. Though right to property has been deleted, because many cases were happening, so ultimately government deleted what? Government deleted the right to property, because you can see keep on adding amendment to the article is not probable. So that's why the government finally deleted what? Deleted right to property as a fundamental right. But these provisions are still existing in the constitution. So remember 31A, 31B and 31C. 31A talks about 5 cases in which government can take over property. 31B deals with what? 9th schedule, that is there. And 31C deals with what? 31C deals with that if government passes any law to implement which principle? DPSP principle of Article 39B and 39C. Even if it violates your fundamental right, that law is okay what? That law is valid law and you cannot approach to the judiciary. That is what amendment was saying. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? Now, this raises a question whether Parliament can take away any right. Because if the fundamental rights to property has been deleted from the constitution, tomorrow can government delete right to equality from the constitution? This is also a fundamental right. Government can amend this fundamental right and remove right to equality. Yeah. So if right to property has been deleted as a fundamental right, tomorrow what can be deleted? Right to equality can be deleted also. Okay. So that is the issue that is also arising. Okay. That is the issue that is also arising. So lot of cases were there. Okay. Lot of the cases were there where okay you see nothing but okay this issue has been debated. The first case is okay Shankari Prasad versus Union of India. This case was in 1951 itself, and okay, first amendment were challenged over here. Shankari Prasad versus Union of India. Now, in this case, okay, Supreme Court stated that what? In this case, Supreme Court stated that Parliament has the power. Parliament has the power to amend any part of the Constitution. Any part of Constitution, including fundamental rights, including any fundamental rights also. So in Shankari Prasad, okay, judgment, okay, Supreme Court says that the Parliament has the power to amend any part. Remember, 22 parts we have discussed. Any part Parliament can amend, and any okay fundamental right they can amend. That is what decision given in Shankari Prasad case. Clear? But second case, again where this okay issue was raised was in Golaknath case. This was raised in Golaknath case of 1967. Again this particular issue was raised. Now in this case what the Supreme Court stated was that the Parliament do not have power to take away fundamental rights. Parliament do not have power to take away what? Fundamental rights. Means Parliament can't amend what? Can't amend part 3 of the Constitution. Okay, Parliament do not have power to take away any fundamental rights. Means Parliament can't take away which one? Can't take away nothing but okay the fundamental right. This decision came out in case of what? Golaknath case. So Supreme Court reverses the judgment given in what? Shankari Prasad says and says that no, they can't amend which part? They can't amend part 3, which is a fundamental right, because fundamental right is guaranteed by the Constitution. And secondly, okay, what you see is okay, what fundamental rights are what? Fundamental rights can't be amended by the Parliament. They do not have this amendment power. Okay, so that is what the decision Supreme Court took. Okay, next okay case was where this was debated was in Keshav Nanda Bharti case. Keshav Nanda Bharti case, 1973. Okay, this was okay the case in which okay again Supreme Court debated this issue. Fine. Now remember, whenever okay what whenever any constitutional issue is being taken up, whenever constitutional issue is being taken up to interpret the Constitution, what is required is okay constitutional bench is required. So okay, what you see is okay whenever constitutional okay issues are debated, whether okay because this is a constitutional issue, whether Parliament can amend fundamental right or cannot amend fundamental right is which type of issue? Constitutional issue that is okay there. So whenever constitutional issues are okay taken up, what is being created? Constitutional bench are being created. Okay, and this constitutional bench should consist of minimum how many judges? Minimum 5 judges. Okay. So constitutional bench is okay conceived of minimum how many judges? 5 judges. Okay. So let's say 5 judges bench has given any ruling. Okay. Now we discussed okay let's say this okay this bench was 5 judge bench. Now if you have okay what if you have to overturn the okay ruling, then what is required? If you have to overturn the ruling, then what will have to require? Then you have to create higher judge bench. Okay, then only what will happen? They can overrule the ruling. So you have to create either 7 judge bench or 9 judge bench. Always odd number of judges are taken. Why odd number of judges? So always there is a majority. Even if 3 agrees, 2 disagrees, majority judgment will be there. So always odd judgment. Okay, odd judges are taken. So 5 judges, 7 judges, 9 judges, like that, okay, is being taken. Clear? So in Keshwananda Bharti case, okay, you will see 13 judge bench were created. 13 judge has together heard this particular case. It is the largest ever bench to hear a constitutional case that was created in case of what? In case of nothing but Keshwananda Bharti case. Okay. So in this particular case, Supreme Court came out with what? Supreme Court came out with a basic structure doctrine. So in this case, Supreme Court came out with which doctrine? Basic structure doctrine. Fine. So in Keshwananda Bharti case, Supreme Court came out with basic structure doctrine, and they say that Parliament can amend what? Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution. Amend any part of Constitution, but they can't take away what? But they can't take away the basic structure of the Constitution. They can't take away the basic structure of the Constitution. That is what the doctrine originated. Okay. So it means Parliament have the power to even amend fundamental rights, because they can amend any parts. So they can even amend which right? Fundamental right, but they can't take away basic structure. Okay. What is a basic structure? Like equality, fraternity, justice, sovereignty, okay, parliamentary form of government. All these features were declared as which type of feature? Basic feature. Okay, so tomorrow, okay, if Parliament wants to amend right to equality and take away equality, it can't do so, because it will violate which structure? Basic structure. Okay, so though Parliament can amend certain fundamental right, Parliament do not have the power to amend all fundamental right. Why they do not have power to amend all fundamental right? Because certain fundamental rights are basic structure. You can't take away those particular basic structure. There is okay clear. So this is what, okay, the issue that has been, okay, settled in the case of Keshwananda Bharti case. Okay, and since this judgment came out on which date? Since this judgment came out on which date? On 24th April 1973. Okay, on this particular date the judgment came out, 24th April 1973. And okay, Supreme Court also declared what as a basic feature? Judicial review as which feature? Judicial review as a basic feature. Okay, Supreme Court also, okay, declared which as a basic feature? Judicial review also as a basic feature. So as a result, okay, now in the 9th schedule, what is there? If you remember, we discussed any law that is added in 9th schedule before which date? 24th April 1973 is not open to judicial review, but any law that is, okay, added after this particular date is now open to what? Now open to judicial review, because judicial review is a basic feature. You can't take away this particular basic feature. So any law that has been added before date, this date is not open to, okay, judicial review. Any law that is added after this is now open to judicial review, which is, okay, what? Okay, now the status of which schedule? Now the status of 9th schedule. So earlier 9th schedule says that any law that is being placed is not open to what? Judicial review. But now the law that is placed after this particular date is open to judicial review. The law that is placed before this is not open to judicial review. So this is what judgment came out in what? Judgment came out, okay, with the Keshwananda Bharti case, basic structure case, okay, that you have to keep in mind. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular case? So these issues are there on the Parliament powers to amend which right? Fundamental rights. Fine. So write down regarding Article 31 of the Constitutions. Article 31 of the Constitutions. Article 31. Article 31 of the Constitution. Article 31 of the Constitution provides for right to property originally, right to property originally, right to property originally, and it protected individual against against the compulsory acquisition individual against the compulsory acquisition of their property. Protected individual against the compulsory acquisition of their property. Compulsory acquisition of their property by the state. By the state. By the state. Unless it was for a public purpose. Unless it was for a public purpose. Unless it was for a public purpose. Accompanied by compensation. Accompanied by compensation. Accompanied by compensation. Fine. So we discussed earlier, you have what? Fundamental rights to property. State cannot take away your property except in one situation, which is what? Public purpose. And if a state is taking public purpose, the state has to provide what? Compensation to the people regarding the property. But when India became independent, we discussed, okay, government do not have what? Much money. Why government do not have much money? Because, okay, the people were not paying much tax to the government. We were under the poverty, okay. So if government is taking over zamindar property, government was not paying any compensation to the zamindar, and that's why zamindar were moving to what? Moving to the court. Fine. Kara change and red. Over a period of time, various amendment were done under Article 31. Under Article 31, point number 1 you write down, Article 31A. Article 31A, in bracket you write down, added by first constitutional amendment. Article 31A, in bracket, added by first constitutional amendment. First constitutional amendment. Bracket close. Bracket close. It immunizes specific categories of law. It immunizes specific categories of law being challenged in court on the ground of violation of right to equality and right to freedom. On the ground of violation of right to equality and right to freedom. Right to equality and right to freedom. It protect laws related to point number 1, acquisition of state, ESTATE, okay, state, acquisition of state, ESTATE. State means what? What is the difference between ESTATE and STATE? What is the difference? What is acquisition of state means? ESTATE deals with the property, okay? That is land property, that is what? Okay, ESTATE, okay? So acquisition of state, second you write, taking over management of properties, by the state in public interest, amalgamation of properties Point number 4 you write down. Extinguishing or modifying the right of director and shareholder right of director and shareholder. And lastly, for number 5 you write down mining leaseholder. Mining leaseholder. Okay, so these 5 types of laws are protected from a challenge under Article 31A. Next we write down 31B. 31B. In bracket we write down added by 9th schedule. Added by 9th schedule. Added 9th schedule by first amendment. Added, don't write added by. Added 9th schedule by first amendment. By first amendment. This act added 9th schedule. This act added 9th schedule and any law added in 9th schedule, any law added in 9th schedule were completely shielded from judicial review. Were completely shielded from judicial review on the ground of violation of any fundamental rights. On the ground of violation of any fundamental rights. Ground of violation of any fundamental rights. Next we write down 31C. 31C. Added by 25th Constitutional Amendment. Added by 25th Constitutional Amendment 1971. 1971. And it states that any law which is giving effect to Article 39B, in bracket we write down distribution of resources. Article 39B in bracket distribution of resources, and Article 39C in bracket you write down prevention of concentration of wealth. Prevention of concentration of wealth, bracket close, cannot be declared void for violating Article 14 and Article 19. Cannot be declared void for violating Article 14 and Article 19. Article 14 and Article 19. Para change in right now. Because of constant conflict related to fundamental rights to property, the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act were passed. The 44th Constitutional Amendment Act were passed, which repeat fundamental rights to property. From Article 19 and 31. From Article 19 and 31. From Article 19 and 31 and added Article 300A into the Constitution. And added Article 300A into the Constitution. say into the constitution regarding the right to property. Regarding right to property. Regarding right to property. Now the question is, okay, what changed when right to property has been deleted? What change has happened? What change has happened? So earlier right to property was which right? Fundamental right. But now right to property has been deleted which right? Legal right. So what has been changed? So earlier right to property was guaranteed by whom? By constitution, because it was a fundamental right. But now it is guaranteed by whom? Law. Guaranteed by law. Earlier, okay, right to property can be changed, okay, only through which majority? Special majority, because you need a special majority to amend the constitution. But now you require only what? Simple majority to amend the law. So now it can be amended by what? Amended by nothing but okay, a simple majority, that is okay there. Okay. Another thing is earlier compulsory compensation has to be given by whom? Government, because if Article 31 mentions that government is acquiring property, so government has to give what? Compensation to the people. Compulsory compensation has to be provided. Now what will happen? Compensation depends on whom? Compensation depends on law. If law says compensation has to be provided, then compensation will be provided. If law says compensation should not be provided, no compensation will be provided. So here compensation may be provided or may not be provided. There is no compulsory, okay, what? There is no compulsory nothing but okay compensation for acquiring the property, that is okay there. Here earlier you know that when fundamental right is violated, you can move directly to whom? You can move directly to whom? To the Supreme Court. Okay. If fundamental right is violated, you can move directly to whom? Directly to the Supreme Court. Now with okay right to property being violated, you can't move to whom? To the Supreme Court. You have to go through what? Ordinary legal code. So you have to go through district court, high court, Supreme Court, like that. Okay, you have to go to. You can't directly move to whom? Supreme Court. So this has changed. This has changed with the okay right to property being deleted. Okay, so character of right to property has now been changed from fundamental rights to what? Legal right. And with the legal right, these changes are something that are okay being brought under right to property. Fine. Any doubt regarding this one? So at this point, the character of right to property, the character of right to property hence has been changed. Character of right to property hence has been changed. And it includes following changes. Point number one. Earlier it can be regulated, curtailed, modified only via constitutional amendment. But now it can be done through an ordinary law. Point number two. Earlier it protect private property against both legislative and executive actions. Private property against both legislative and executive action. But now it protect only against executive actions. But now it protect only against legislative actions. But now it only protect against executive actions and not against legislative action. but it now protect only against executive actions and not against legislative actions. Point number 3. Earlier, guaranteed right to compensation. Earlier, guaranteed right to compensation were there. But now, compensation may or may not be provided. But now, compensation may or may not be provided. And it depends on law. Next point. Earlier, one can directly move Supreme Court. One can directly move Supreme Court in case of violation of rights. But now, one cannot move directly to Supreme Court. Rather, one cannot directly move to the Supreme Court. Rather, has to go through ordinary legal process. Next heading we read on cases related to amendment of fundamental rights. First we write down Shankari Prasad versus Union of India case. In this case, first constitutional amendment. Shankari Prasad versus Union of India. In this case, first constitutional amendment. That is Article 31A and 31B. Additions were challenged. Article 31A and 31B. Additions were challenged. The Supreme Court upheld these amendments. And stated that Parliament has the power to amend the Constitution under Article 368. Parliament has power to amend the Constitution under Article 368. And this include under Article 368 and this include under Article 368 and this include any part of the Constitution. Second, you write down Golaknath versus State of Punjab 1967. Golaknath versus State of Punjab 1967. 1967. In this case, the Supreme Court reversed its earlier judgment of Shankari Prasad case. Reversed its earlier judgment of Shankari Prasad case and stated that Parliament cannot amend Part 3 of the Constitution. Part 3 of the Constitution. Hence, fundamental rights are immutable. Fundamental rights are immutable. Immutable means can't be changed. Immutable means can't be changed. Fine. Next, okay. Third you read on Keshwananda Bharti case. Was Keshwananda Bharti versus State of Kerala, you read, versus State of Kerala, 1973. 1973. In this case, Article 31C added by 25th Amendment were challenged. And the Supreme Court came up with basic structure doctrine. Basic structure doctrine. In this case, the court stated that Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution. Including the Part 3. Any part of the Constitution, including the Part 3. But it cannot destroy the basic structure of the Constitution. Hence, Supreme Court defined basic structure. Such as judicial review, equality, liberty, justice, parliamentary form of government, Article 32 in bracket right to constitutional remedies, etc. as the basic feature of the Constitution. Para change in writing. As a result, it also changes the character of ninth schedule. In Ayar Kuleho versus State of Tamil Nadu, in Ayar Kuleho versus State of Tamil Nadu, in Ayar Kuleho versus State of Tamil Nadu, Supreme Court clarified that any law added in ninth schedule, after 24th April 1973, any law added in ninth schedule after 24th April 1973, any law added in ninth schedule after 24th April 1973 is open to judicial review. Any law added to ninth schedule is open to judicial review, and any law added before 24th April 1973, any law added before 24th April 1973 is not open to judicial review. Is not open to judicial review. Okay. Next, the last right you have is what? Right to constitutional remedies. What is remedy means? What the term remedy means? Solution. Yes. Okay. So who has given this solution? Constitution has given this solution. Okay. So that's why it is called as what? Constitutional remedy. Okay. So remedy means what? Some solution you are trying to find out. Some problem was there. You are trying to find certain solution, trying to solve it through certain remedy. So who is providing this solution? Constitution is something that is providing its solution. So it says that whenever your fundamental rights are violated, one can directly approach whom? One can directly approach Supreme Court. Okay, so this is a remedy that is being provided. That if your fundamental rights are violated, you can directly move there. You can directly move the Supreme Court. So this is a remedy that has been given. And second thing, it says that Supreme Court has powers to what? Powers to reissue certain writs. Okay. So when you move to the Supreme Court will try to protect your fundamental right, and for this Supreme Court can issue what? Supreme Court can issue writs. There are 5 writs that is mentioned. Mentioned that these 5 writs Supreme Court can issue. One is habeas corpus, second is mandamus, third is prohibition, fourth is certiorari, and fifth is quo warranto. So these are the 5 types of what? These are the 5 types of nothing but writs that are mentioned. Okay. So what you have to keep in mind is whenever fundamental rights are violated, you can directly approach where? You can directly approach Supreme Court, and Supreme Court can issue all these writs or any of these writs for enforcement of whom? For enforcement of your fundamental rights. So this is a remedy that has been provided. Also, it gave powers to the Parliament. If Parliament want, they can provide this writ power to any other court also. Constitution has given this writ power to whom? To the Supreme Court. But if Parliament want, they can give this writ power to whom? To the any other court also. These are the 3 things mentioned under Article 32 of the Constitution. Okay? So Article 32 says that what? Whenever fundamental rights are violated, you can move directly to where? Supreme Court. And Supreme Court, in order to enforce the fundamental right, can issue certain writs. What are the writs? Habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. And third thing, it says that Parliament okay, can give this writ power to what? To writ power to any other court that is okay there. Clear? So what these writs are there? What these writs? What does the term writs means? Writs means any official order issued by a judiciary, that is going to be called as what? That is going to be called as a writs. So the term writs means certain official order which is issued by whom? Which is issued by the judiciary. Okay, so these are okay what? These can be issued, different type of orders can be issued, okay, and that's why different type of writs are there, okay. All these are okay what? All these are Latin words, okay, because most of the terms in law has been borrowed from the Latin, okay, so that's why these terms are okay being used: habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. So habeas corpus means to have the body of. The meaning of habeas corpus means to have the body of. That is a literal meaning of habeas corpus. Okay. So what is the literal meaning of habeas corpus? To have the body of. Okay. When it is issued, when the court will issue someone. So this can be issued either against government or against private individual also. And this is issued when there is okay what? When there is any illegal detention. This can be issued against okay government also. This can be issued against nothing but okay private persons also. And when this is okay there, illegal detention is there. Okay. Let's say if I have okay what? If I have put someone okay locked in their home. Okay, then what will happen? What will happen? Okay, he can file a case, he can ask okay the court that his fundamental rights are being violated, he can't move out. Okay, so court will issue a writ against me that why I have blocked it. Court will examine whether it is a legal or illegal, and then court will okay enforce okay the fundamental right of other person that is okay there. If police arrest okay person illegally, then okay person can move to the court saying that his fundamental rights are violated. Okay, then okay against the police habeas corpus can be issued, that is okay there. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? So habeas corpus is to have the body of. Body of means what? Police will ask, the court will ask police to okay present the person, that bring the body of the person, okay, make the person present in the court. I'll okay see whether the detention is illegal or legal, that is okay there. So that's what okay the term habeas corpus means, okay. So habeas corpus, when it is generally issued, when there is okay which type of detention? Illegal detention, that is okay there. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? Second is mandamus. Mandamus means generally means what? To command. Mandamus generally means to command. Okay. So here court issues an order to the okay what? Order to the okay administrative authorities or order to the government or any public official okay to do certain action. Okay, court command that you have to do certain action. This is called as what? This is called as nothing but okay mandamus. Okay, this is called as a mandamus. For example, let's say okay let's say there is a okay what too much cold in northern India. Generally you see in winter season there is too much cold. People die of okay those who do not have home and etc. Okay, they die of okay during nothing but okay those cold. And if government do not okay take any initiative to protect those particular persons, then what will happen? What will happen? Okay, the person's right to life is violated. Okay, person has a right to life, no? Okay, if the government is not taking initiative to protect such particular person's right to life is violated. So in that case, court can ask government that you please take preventive measures so that okay those people do not die. Okay, so okay in such situation what will happen? Mandamus can be issued. Let's say okay outside this okay what institute there is a lot of okay what garbage being piled up. Okay, that is okay there. And because of this garbage being piled up, what will happen? Okay, health issues, okay, other issues are something that are happening, okay, and okay, you have written lot of requests, okay, to the lot of complaint you have filed, lot of okay what requests you have done to the municipality is not doing anything. Then you can move to where? To the court and saying that okay what court will ask municipality to do such particular thing. Okay, so court will command, okay, that is okay there. So that's what mandamus is all about. Mandamus is all about when public officials are not there doing their duty, then in such situation court will enforce okay those duties so that person's right is not violated. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So this is a case of whom? This is a case of nothing but okay mandamus. Okay, the third is case of prohibition. Now the prohibition is generally issued by whom? Issued by the higher court to the lower court. And prohibition means what? Not to do something. You are prohibiting them, so you are asking them not to do something. Mandamus, you are asking them to do. Mandamus is saying that you do these things. Okay. Okay. Prohibition says that don't do this thing. It is okay. Prohibition, not to do something, that is okay there. Clear? So it is issued by higher court to whom? Higher court to nothing but okay, lower court. Just now we discussed, whenever constitutional cases comes up, then what will happen? Whenever constitutional cases comes up, what will happen? We discussed you have to form which type of bench? Constitutional bench. Minimum how many judges should be there? 5 judges. Who will hear this case? Constitutional cases, Supreme Court, because Supreme Court is an interpreter of the Constitution, that is okay there. Let's say if district court is okay, what district court accept any cases in which constitutional interpretation is required, then what will happen? If district court accept a cases in which constitutional interpretation is required, can district court take up constitutional cases? No, because okay, who should hear the constitutional cases? Who should interpret it? Supreme Court. So in that case, Supreme Court will issue a prohibition to whom? To the lower court, that you don't accept these cases. This involves constitutional interpretation. This cases should come to us. Okay, that is okay there. Okay. So in that situation, what will happen? In such situation, what will be issued? Prohibition will be nothing but okay, issued. So that's why prohibition is issued by whom? Prohibition is issued by higher court to the lower court, asking them not to take up okay, or not to do something, that is okay there. So this is okay, what case of nothing but okay, prohibition. Clear? Next is a case of certiorari. Okay, now the certiorari is okay by higher court to the lower court, or by higher court to any administrative authorities also. It can be issued by higher court to any administrative authorities also. Okay. So this is okay, issued in both the cases. Okay, higher court can issue it to the lower court, or higher court can issue it to nothing but okay, administrative authorities also. Okay, let's say okay, lower court has accepted a case. Lower court has accepted a case and given a judgment. Okay, lower court has accepted a case and given a judgment. Okay, that is okay there. Later on, it was found that okay, what this case should not be heard by whom? Lower court, because okay, this requires okay, what this requires constitutional interpretation, or this requires okay, more detailed examination by nothing but okay, higher court. So okay, what will happen in such situation? Because now you can't issue prohibition, because lower court has already taken a okay case, and lower court has already given a judgment. Okay, when prohibition is issued, when lower court is taking up the case, and you don't want lower court to take up case, and okay, want this case to go up to whom? Higher court, then you issue the prohibition. But now in this case, lower court has already taken up the case, already heard the case and given the judgment. Okay, so what will happen in such situation? When later on higher court find out that okay, lower court should not have heard this case itself. Okay, so what will happen in such situation? In such situation, certiorari will be what? Issued, and the judgment given by lower court will be what? Will be nullified, will be declared okay, not valid. Okay, that is okay there. So that is a case of what? That is a case of certiorari, that is okay there. Clear? Or let's say administrative authorities pass any order which court find out that okay, it is a violative of constitution, then what will happen? That order will be nullified by whom? Order will be nullified by the court. Okay, and for that what will be issued? Certiorari will be nothing but okay, issued. Clear? Any doubt regarding this particular thing? So certiorari, when it will be issued? Higher court can issue it okay, against the lower court, even if lower court has heard the case and given a judgment. Okay, the judgment itself will be nothing but okay, nullified. While okay, what you see is okay, it can also be issued against what? Any administrative authorities. If administrative authorities is issuing any okay, what order which is court think that okay, not valid, not according to the constitution, that order itself will be nullified, and certiorari can be nothing but okay, issued by the court. Okay, so this is when certiorari can be issued. And the last case is what? Quo warranto. Okay, now last case is a quo warranto. It is generally issued when some person is illegally occupying a public office. Okay, so quo warranto. Okay, it means by what authority? Okay, so quo warranto literal meaning is by what authority, and certiorari literal meaning is what? To be certified. Certiorari okay, literal meaning is to be certified. Okay, while okay, quo warranto literal meaning is by what authority. Okay, so who is certifying? Who is certifying? Okay, higher court is certifying that okay, lower court should have given a judgment, lower court judgment is wrong. Okay, who is certifying that administrative authority's order is wrong? It is a higher court that is okay, certifying. Okay, so certiorari means to be certified, that is okay there. While okay, quo warranto means okay, by what authority. Okay, so what is quo? Okay, by what authority means? What does by what authority means? Okay, so we discussed it is issued when there is if someone is occupying which of office, public office illegally. For example, suppose okay, there is okay what there is a office of nothing but okay, let's say a CBI director's office. It is which type of office? Public office. Now let's say eligibility says that any CBI director, let's say okay, should not exceed 65 years of age. Anyone appointed as a CBI director should not be okay what? Should not be more than 65 years of age. Let's say this is a eligibility that is okay there. Someone okay appointed in this office at the age of 66, then what will happen? Then what will happen? He is illegally occupying because he is not meeting which condition? Eligibility condition. So that's why he should not hold this particular office. So as a result, what the court will be issuing? What the court will be issuing? Court will be issuing nothing but okay, quo warranto, that okay, you have illegally occupied this office, you have to vacate this office, okay, that is okay there. Clear? So in such situation, what will happen? Quo warranto will be nothing but okay, issued. Clear? Any doubt regarding this one? So these are the 5 writs okay, that can be issued by whom? Can be issued by nothing but okay, court. Habeas corpus in case of illegal detention, mandamus if the government okay being asked to do or public official being asked to do certain duty, prohibition not to do certain duty issued by whom? Higher court to the lower court. Certiorari issued by higher court to what? Higher court to the lower court or higher court to the administrative authorities, and they will be certifying. They will be certifying what they will be certifying. What they will be certifying? Any judgment, any order. Okay, that is what okay they are going to certify. And the last okay that you have is a quo warranto. What is quo warranto? What is quo warranto? That okay, you cannot occupy the public office illegally. Okay, so these type of writs okay will be issued by whom? Issued by nothing but okay, Supreme Court. So that's why B.R. Ambedkar has called it as a heart and soul of the Constitution. He has called it as what? Heart and soul of the Constitution. Okay, because if this right is taken away, then what will happen? If this right is taken away, then what will happen? Other rights cannot be enforced. When other rights cannot be enforced, then what will happen? Okay, you don't have a fundamental right. What fundamental right ensures? That government power is limited. Remember, the whole idea of constitution is what? To create a which type of government? Limited government. Government should have limited power. So if this right is not there, other rights can't be enforced. If other right can't be enforced, government will have all the powers. Like king system will be there. Okay, you can do anything, government can do anything, that is okay there. So that's why this right is okay what? This right is a heart of the Constitution. That's why we have written under the basic structure. Article 32 we have written no? As a part of basic structure doctrine we have mentioned that. So why Supreme Court is declaring this as a basic structure? Because if you take away this one, the whole idea of nothing but okay, making a constitution or constitutional government will not be there. Okay. So this is the reason why Article 32 has been there. Clear? So what the Article 32 says, right to constitutional remedies. It says that if your fundamental rights are violated, you can directly move to whom? To the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will issue which type of writs? Habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, quo warranto. And okay, what you see is okay, Parliament if they want, they can give this writ power to any other court also. Okay, there. Any other court means High Court also, District Court also, okay, Session Court also. Any court okay, they want, they can give this writ power. Fine, any doubt regarding this one? So we'll write about this okay in the next class. Okay. Anybody having any doubt? Thank you.